What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new video, and in today's video we are going to be doing a ranking of all 6 seasons of The Boys universe before the release of season 5 in less than 2 weeks, which I'm so excited about. The Boys has been one of my favorite shows that have come out in the last 5, 6, 7 years, whatever it is. And yeah, I've officially seen every season. Up before this, I've seen the first 4 seasons of The Boys. I've seen all seasons. Up until, again, a couple days ago, I had not seen the 2 seasons of Gen V. So that's kind of been added on to this whole thing. So this is a complete Boys universe ranking from every season of every show. And yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. Coming in at number 6, in last place, we have The Boys Season 4. Now, this season, when it first came out, was very, very controversial. You know, a lot of people either really liked it or they really hated it. I was on the side that really did not like it. I was very disappointed by this season. After what had happened in Season 3, you know, Season 3 was a very big season, a lot of action. Then you switch to Season 4, and Season 4 is very low-key, low down, chill. Very different season, right? You know, they ditched a lot of the action and you know, and a lot of the big sporadic colors and all that stuff from Season 3, and they went with more of a darker political season, right? Season 4 is very political. It's all about politics. You know, the whole base of the season is just based around politics, right? And, you know, for a superhero show, you know, that can kind of get a little boring at times, you know. It really just felt like this one went back to basics. This one feels very Season 1-like. It's very, there's not a lot of action going on. Again, it's very political, right? You obviously have the home teamers versus the Starlighters. That's kind of a big thing going on in this season. You know, we get some new characters like Sister Sage, who I'm not a big fan of. I don't like really the new characters this season. I'm not a fan of Sister Sage. I do not like Firecracker all that much. You know, this also feels like the season where they really started to up the weirdness. Obviously, the show's always been really weird, and it really goes far with its, like a lot of the sexual stuff, and it goes very far. Season 4, though, is a whole nother level of far. Obviously, you have the guy who can, like, split himself into, like, 8 different people, and you know the sauna scene. I won't even describe it. It's so nasty. If you know, you know. Excuse me. So you have that's really weird. You know, they're trying to tell people that Starlight is trafficking children and doing stuff to babies and weird stuff. They're very, like, upfront about that, which I just thought it was a bit too far. It was a bit too much. It's like, it gets to the point where it's not even funny anymore. It's getting gross. And again, they kind of pulled a Terrifier where they're just trying to do shock factor and shock value this season, and it wasn't working for me. I do think this is a very good finale. I think a good finale in the sense that some shocking stuff goes down. Obviously, in the final episode, you get the whole thing where the fake Starlight's trying to kill the president, who's in the underground bunker, and the real Starlight comes in and attacks her. Butcher finally gives in to his to the parasite that's in him after Grace Mallory gets killed by Ryan, and Ryan doesn't really seem to care about it. He kills Victoria Newman in front of his daughter, right? And obviously all the boys get arrested and get taken into custody, in part due to the kids from Gen V, 2 of the kids, Sam and Kate from Gen V, which was sick. It was so cool to see them get brought into the mix. They show up and stuff earlier in the season too, but again, the season just felt very, like, low-key. That's all I can think of when I say this scene. It did have some hype moments. Obviously, the whole thing at the barn where all the fucking flying animals are all juiced up with V and they're killing everybody. That was cool. But overall, it wasn't on par, I felt, with all the other seasons of the show. It came short, in my opinion. Coming in at number 5, we have Gen V Season 2, the second season of Gen V. And mainly I'm putting this here is because I really thought the first half of the season was really slow and sluggish. I thought, like, the first 4 or 5 episodes were just, it just took so long to actually start going somewhere and starting to gain some momentum. The show really didn't start gaining momentum until, I forget what episode this happened in. I think it was episode 4 or 5 when when Marie and Jason have to fight. I thought that's when the show actually started to pick up, and they have, you know, they're in the arena or whatever. It's like a UFC arena and whatever, and Cypher is controlling Lee. in their mind or whatever. And I thought that was cool. And then that's when the season started to pick up. And then the back half of the season was fantastic. We get Stan Edgar makes a return. We finally get to meet his granddaughter, like full meet her, hear her speak and everything. Obviously, she was in season 4, but we didn't see much of her. Obviously, Kate and Sam kind of turn back to the good side, and they become friends with the rest of the gang again. Andre, unfortunately, the actor in real life, which I only just found this out like a couple nights ago, that he actually passed away in real life before the filming of Gen V Season 2. That's why he wasn't in the season. Because I was watching, I was like, damn, where is Andre? Obviously, they keep saying he's dead, but I'm like, why would they have killed him off like that? There has to be some reason. And unfortunately, the actor in real life passed away. So no Andre this season, which was a bit of a letdown. I really liked him in season 1. I love what they do with Marie Monroe's powers in this. She really becomes OP, and we know she's going to have to be the one to take on Homelander. Love the ending where, we get some Starlight cameo and A-Train shows up. We know Starlight and A-Train are good now. They're, like, close. They're tight, which was cool. Obviously, Cypher wasn't actually who he says he was. He was being controlled by Godolkin, and they have to fight Godolkin at the end. I wish the battle would a bit more cinematic. It was a bit of a. This is kind of a letdown of an ending battle. I also wish there would have been some deaths in this season as well. There wasn't any really big deaths, and I don't know how they're going to fit all these Gen V characters into the final season. I was like, there's no way they're going to be able to fit all these Gen V characters into the final season of The Boys. They're going to have to kill some of them off. That's what I was thinking the whole season, and not a single one of them get killed off. So that's like an extra 7 or 8 people that are going to be joining The Boys cast. That's already huge. It's going to be, I don't know how they're going to do it. I really don't. But yeah, it was cool to see them get all on the same terms again, and then take down Godolkin eventually. I just thought that this season kind of lacked the mystery aspect that the first season had. The first season had a really good mystery going on, and they were being manipulated, and I really enjoyed that kind of journey they had. In this, the mystery isn't as interesting, It's just kind of more of a one-note story where they just have to kind of take down the bad guy, right? Marie finally gets to see her sister again. We find out she has new powers. She can heal, which is cool. And I like they didn't really introduce any new characters aside from like Cypher this season. He was kind of like one of the only new characters. We didn't get any new characters really added to the group that wasn't in the first season. So like they didn't bother adding anybody new in. But and another thing, they really like to play around with relationships in this season. It just felt like such back and forth, specifically with Lee and Marie. It's like every 5 seconds they just hop back from being together, and then they're not together. Then she's mad at him, then they're not mad at each other. Then they're mad at each other again, then they're not mad at each other again. It's like it just hops back and forth constantly with a lot of the relationships in the show. One moment they're mad at Kate, the next they're fine. Then they're mad at Kate, then they're fine. Emma's mad at Sam, then they're not. Emma's mad at Sam, then they're not. It's just like a lot of jumping back and forth between emotions and stuff, which I wasn't too big of a fan of. And ultimately, I wasn't a big fan of Godolkin as the bad guy. I didn't like him. I didn't think he offered anything too interesting. He wasn't compelling in any way. His motivations were nothing new. I wasn't too big on it. And I did not like Sister Sage as a cameo in this season. She was the one that keeps popping up that we knew for The Boys. I hate Sister Sage, honestly. She's one of the worst characters. But that was our cameo. No Soldier Boy or anything. We didn't get to see Homelander in this season like we did in the first season. So cameos-wise, I think the first season definitely handled it better. But yeah, overall, still a good season, just on the lower echelon for me. Coming up next at number 4, we have The Boys Season 2. A very good follow-up season to the first. Just not quite as good. This is still a great season. I really still enjoy it. Do not get me wrong. But I think really what holds this season back, and this may even sound a little nitpickish, is the entire A-Train. The entire Deep arc. The Deep's storyline in this season is so goddamn boring and so long and repetitive and uninteresting, and it is so sluggish. It just tanks this season. Tanks it. Because every episode, you jump to him a couple times, and they last like 5 to 10 minutes each time. And the storyline is so uninteresting, how he's just put onto this side story of his own where he's out of town, he's away from the boys, he's in therapy, and he gets into with the church, and he's like trying to sell this Fresca drink, and it's so stupid and it's so boring, and it is just tanks this season for me. every time I go back and watch the season, I skip over all that bullshit because it's just so painfully uninteresting. But aside from that, this season's actually fucking great. They completely updated the action. They amped it up to the max this season compared to the first season, at least. The ending specifically, with all the girls having to fight Stormfront, and Ryan's finally starting to get some powers going and stuff. Stormfront versus Kimiko's brother, where she's throwing him through the building, and awesome stuff. Awesome. The effects look fantastic. It was great. The fucking Billy Butcher drives the boat through the gigantic whale. That was fucking sick. Kimiko's brother drops the train on Homelander. Some great action this season. Fantastic stuff there. I really found the stuff with Becca and Butcher very interesting and compelling. Butcher was trying to get the love of his life out of kind of this prison that Vought has her in. And but there is that one thing there that's the problem, and that is Ryan, and that Homelander will not let this kid go, and she won't either. And so they're both kind of, it just causes them to be stuck in this situation. Some of the new characters we get, like Stormfront, awesome. I love Stormfront. She's the perfect evil bitch, and her power set is fucking awesome. With the purple lightning, she can fly, extremely powerful. Very, very, very good villain to add to the mix. I really, really liked her. Again, we got a little bit of Kimiko's brother in this season, which was cool for the time that we were, we kind of had him. The season doesn't feel as fresh as it did the first time around, of course. I wasn't, you don't really expect it to. We've been kind of through the song and dance before. And obviously, the boys are all wanted men, and they're kind of relegated to being, they're stuck in this basement under this fucking deli pretty much the entire season up until the end. Obviously we get introduced to the head popper. We don't know who it is yet. This is before we figured out it's Victoria Newman, right? We find out at the end that it was her. That she's like popping heads and shit, and then they need people to testify against them, and they do this thing a lot this season where the boys almost win, but last second it's pulled from them, and they end up losing. Obviously the whole thing ends with them showing the footage of the plane going down in the first season to Homelander, and that's the blackmail. That's how they get out. The show's very good at doing that, finding ways to stop Homelander from just fucking destroying everybody, because they know you can do it. They know he's capable of doing it. It's just they gotta find new ways to stop him from doing it, and I think the writers are very good at doing that. But even though we all knew it wasn't gonna fucking last, but it was still cool. And yeah, man, this season's fun. It's so enjoyable. Again, if not for all that deep stuff, and I still don't fully agree with them killing off Becca. I kind of wanted Butcher to have that happy ending, but I think I just kind of have to come to accept that it's just not going to happen. I still kind of wish they would have kept Becca alive, but I get it. I understand why. And finding out about her backstory and what really happened, how she was raped by Homelander and they faked her death and stuff. It was cool to get more backstory on that. But so yeah, like I said, overall, this is still a really good season, but the stuff with the deep absolutely tanks it into the ground for me at times. But aside from that stuff wasn't there. This season would be right there with the first one. Coming up next at number 3, we have Gen V Season 1. This is a phenomenal season all the way around. It is like The Boys, except the teenage drama version of The Boys. Everybody's in college and you're partying and it's fun and it's so enjoyable. And there's this big mystery going around that gets set up in the end of the first episode where we have Golden Boy. He kills himself. Pretty much this version's of Johnny, like the boys' version of Johnny Storm or whatever. You have him kill himself, and he kills this principal of the school. And he's talking about this place called The Woods, and it just sets up this perfect mystery that our cast of characters have to go find and solve. Fantastic way to set it up. The story here is so interesting. How they're trying to form this fucking toxin or this venom to kill Soups and stuff that's going on behind the scenes. But again, also trying to find the woods and what this mystery really is and why Golden Boy killed himself and what's going on. The cast of characters here, arguably as good as The Boys, if not even better. You have Marie Monroe, who's fantastic. She's very good in this first season. Emma, who could be my favorite character of the entire show of Gen V. She's so funny. Obviously, her powers, she can shrink and get really big, but she's just this fun, kind of upbeat, just chick, and she's nice and she's kind, and again, they're not the most deep and interesting characters, a lot of them, but their personalities are just so entertaining and fun that they carry it. You have Jordan Lee, another very good character who ends up dating Maria Monroe. She can switch between a girl and a boy anytime she wants. Her power set's so cool. Again, just very likable characters. A lot of them, they're all very likable. And obviously we have Sam, who's definitely the most interesting of them all. He's kind of convinced that he was the Gen V gave him a messed up mental head because he sees things, he has hallucinations and stuff, but it just turns out he was an autistic kid or was born with some sort of brain issue and then got the Gen V. So that's something we've never really seen before, where someone who has these really bad mental problems, obviously Homelander, but hallucinations and schizophrenia and stuff, having powers. And that's kind of what he is. And his power set is pretty cool. He can jump really far, kind of like a mini Hulk. He's got super strength, all that. The best part of the season is honestly seeing all their relationships come together. Emma ends up dating Sam. Maria ends up dating Jordan Lee. You have Andre in there, who I, for whatever reason, forgot to mention. Like I said, Andre is a great character as well. You find out that he was in ties with Kate behind the scenes. And another thing I like about these kids is, some of them make bad decisions, but none of them are actually evil. And, as the season goes on, this divide starts to happen between the two group of kids. It's almost like a Civil War situation by the end, they get divided. Sam and Kate kind of go their own way and are in support of Soups. And then Marie, Emma, and Jordan Lee and Andre are kind of on the other side of that. They're not in support of the Soups. So they kind of have to end up versing each other and hurting each other. We got a Homelander cameo, a Soldier Boy cameo, which is fucking awesome. A Deep cameo. A-Train's in it as well. We get to see the day A-Train join the Seven, which I thought was kind of interesting. We got to see at the very beginning of the show. Obviously, Marie has a lot of trauma there. She killed her parents when she was young. I thought that was kind of a good backstory. And her sister and her are estrange. They haven't seen each other in years. Her sister doesn't want to be around her, and she's trying to find her sister, which obviously carries on into season 2. And yeah, and the ending is fantastic. I thought, all the Soups being let loose on the fucking in the college, and they're running around killing people, and Marie and her group have to defend them from Kate and Sam, and they're all killing. It's awesome, man. Just a great fun season. Story's interesting, the characters are great and enjoyable, the action is so fun. This is an all-around fantastic season of television. Coming in at number 2, we have The Boys Season 1. Now, this is an amazing season of television. It's borderline perfect for what it's trying to do. And I just love this season. Obviously, it's the classic comic book story, and The Boys, they're rip-off of regular superheroes, right? The superheroes we know. Homelander's a rip-off of Superman. Black Noir's a rip-off of Batman. Queen Maeve's a rip-off of Wonder Woman, right? You get all these rip-offs. The Deep's a rip-off of Aquaman. It's like a rip-off Justice League, essentially, right? And they're all seemingly good on the outside of it. On the inside, they're all fucking pieces of shit. They're evil. They kill whoever they want, do whatever they want. It's all for money and fame. And obviously, we meet the boys. Huey, his girlfriend, gets killed by one of the Soups, by A-Train, and that sets everything in motion. And then we meet Billy Butcher, and we find out his backstory, how his wife was raped and killed by Homelander, or so we thought, right? We have Starlight, who's actually a good person underneath. She's like one of the only Soups that is actually really good underneath. And you see that conflict building throughout the season. And she joins the Seven, which was her dream, which is, again, rip-off Justice League. And she finds out it's nothing like she wanted it to be. And, she gets fucking pretty much raped the first time she's there, and it's terrible. But we really get to feel the sense that this show is just unleashed, and it's not afraid to cross lines, and it does whatever it wants. Tons of gore, ridiculous action, silly jokes, everything from above. And it's just a great, big, fun time, and it's just awesome. And obviously you get the two sides, the boys versus the Seven. The boys spend the entire season trying to find a way to take these fuckers down, these evil Soups. You get MM, you meet Mother's Milk, great character, one of my favorites of all time within the show. Obviously Homelander is this fucking incredible performance by Anthony Starr. You meet Frenchie, just a complete comic relief character. He's funny, he's hilarious, druggy. Kimiko comes in later on in the season, he's just a deaf girl who's got superpowers, right? Queen Maeve, part of the Seven, like I said, A-Train, the Deep. You meet all these different characters who all have their own unique power sets and are different. And it's just it's just a fun comic book show that isn't afraid to take it too far, you know, and it's such a fun and enjoyable time. And it's just one of those shows that just doesn't really get boring, this season at least, you know. And, you know, in a way, they're also like investigators. Again, trying to, they investigate everything that that the Seven does wrong. They're right on it, you know. And then obviously they kidnap Translucent to get him killed, or they end up killing him. And it's just so interesting. I don't know how else to describe it. It's just so fun and enjoyable. And yeah, the first season is just great. It's just a classic. It's a classic, The Boys, and it's great. It is absolutely fantastic, and I love it. But coming in at number 1, the absolute GOAT of The Boys has to be The Boys Season 3. This is just... everything that works about the first season is just amped up to 100 here, and it's fantastic. Now, the first half of the season is actually a little... I don't want to say boring, but it's a little underwhelming. Nothing too crazy happens until episode 5, where we actually meet Soldier Boy. And Soldier Boy is to me, the best character in the fucking show. He is beyond hysterical, funny as shit. Again, just kind of a complete racist dick with an ego the size of the earth. But he's not evil. He has a good side to him deep down. And, you know, he's not like Homelander, who we ended up finding out is his son. We get that connection. And we find out that, he knew Grace Mallory back in, like, World War II or whatever it was. And he had his own superhero team with Black Noir on it. You know, we find out what happened to Black Noir. That was cool, getting to see flashbacks from things that happened before. We get to see a young Stan Edgar. Dude, the fight scenes this season are just incredible. The whole Hero-gasm episode is fucking hysterical, plus awesome. We get to see Billy Butcher, Huey, Soldier Boy, and Homelander all get into a big-ass fight. Dude, like, fucking awesome. They're all just kicking the shit out of each other. We get Temp V introduced, where we get to see some of the boys actually have powers, like Billy Butcher. He gets the laser vision, obviously, super strength, whatever it is. Huey can teleport, right? Fucking awesome, man. Just so awesome. Fucking Paul Reiser's in this season from fucking Stranger Things and Aliens. Like, so awesome to see him in here. Again, he just plays an absolute egotistical dick. His name is literally, I think, The Legend. So awesome to see that. We find out a little bit how MM has history with Soldier Boy, which we heard a little bit about in season 2, but we finally get to see him confront Soldier Boy, which was sick. You know, him and Butcher's relationship really is on thin ice this season. Annie's and Huey's is really on thin ice. Huey really starts to change and really starts to just kind of become Butcher's lapdog to a sense. He just throws out all of his morals and everything that he does that makes him him, and he just throws it out the window to help Butcher kill Homelander. So this is the season where he's really looking for that revenge. You know, at the fucking finale is incredible. It's by far the best finale, in my opinion. Soldier Boy... you know, and Queen Maeve and Butcher are literally about to kill Homelander, but Ryan gets involved, and then they have to protect Ryan from Soldier Boy, and Soldier Boy and Butcher start fighting, and Queen Maeve is kicking the shit out of Homelander, and, you know, and then the other boys come in, and they start helping Butcher fight Soldier Boy. Just awesome, incredible finale. Dude, the whole Russia episode where they go out to Russia to rescue Soldier Boy, or what they think is a weapon. It's such a sick episode. That's when we first get to see them use their powers and stuff. Obviously, early on in the season, we get to see them on the red carpet at the Dawn of the Seven premiere or whatever. We get a new character thrown into the mix. I forget his name. He's not in it for very long. It's Starlight's friend that she knew on the the TV show circuit or whatever that she used to do or whatever. He ends up getting killed, obviously. But really, and then we get a fucking Queen Maeve redemption arc. You know, she fucking sacrifices herself, and she ends up surviving, but everybody thinks she's dead. Get a little bit of redemption for Ashley in there. And yeah, man, it's just such a fun season. It is by far my favorite season of The Boys and Gen V. It's just top tier for me, man. This is really when the show hit its peak. I hope and pray season 5 can dethrone it and become the number 1 best season of The Boys. I am a little nervous because this is how I was feeling about Stranger Things, and Stranger Things let us down. I hope The Boys can do it, man. I really, really hope The Boys season 5 can do it. But I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. So if you guys did enjoy this ranking, make sure to drop a like, comment, subscribe. Let me know your list down in the comments below. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.